Hello everypony, my name is Blancmark and welcome to the Sanctum of Selûne, my own personal private little modding production studio for the Infinity Engine. Now what is the Infinity Engine? It is of course the engine that powers games like Baldur's Gate 2, Icewind Dale 2, and Planescape Torment. Now I'm not very familiar with Icewind Dale or Icewind Dale 2, I've only played a little bit of the first game. I'm quite familiar with Planescape Torment, although not with making mods for it. But my longest and primary experience is with Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2. I would actually say primarily Baldur's Gate 2, because that is where, at least back in the day, in the original versions, is where the majority of the modding happened. Because there was just more possible in Baldur's Gate 2 compared to Baldur's Gate 1. Baldur's Gate 2 gave more options for gameplay, things like kits, which are also called subclasses or specializations or archetypes, and more options overall. A new barbarian class, a new monk class, a new sorcerer class, a new half-orc race, that sort of thing. And then they just expanded on a bunch of things like the individual weapon specializations rather than a weapon group, the ability to dual wield, that sort of thing. You know, it was all, and of course the addition of more dialogue with the player, with the protagonist, and more dialogue between the characters in your party called banters, and interjections where they react to things happening in the world, which was both of those were a very, very rare thing in Baldur's Gate 1. And romances and stuff were definitely not a thing in Baldur's Gate 1 either. Because that engine just wasn't, that version of the engine wasn't really built for that. Now there is a mod called Baldur's Gate 2.2, like the ballet attire, which would essentially copy over your Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2 installs and copy it into a third folder, which then allowed you to play Baldur's Gate 1 in the Baldur's Gate 2 engine. Pretty cool. And at that point you could like install mods like the BG1 NPC project, which would add all these romances and all these like banters and interjections and stuff for all the characters available in Baldur's Gate 1. Pretty cool. Not anything I worked on personally, but I did like that. But with the coming of the enhanced edition, it actually runs in the Baldur's Gate 2 engine, in the Baldur's Gate 2 version of everything. So you can add that more easily now. So that's definitely a plus. I haven't played these enhanced editions myself. It's a more recent purchase of mine, and the recent purchase also kind of re-sparked my love for Infinity Engine games and my love for being creative and modding these games. So that's why I've decided to revive the Sanctum of Selûne, and actually rebrand it to the Sanctum of Selûne, because it had a different name first. It was called Volcano Productions back in the day. But that's getting ahead of myself. Like I said, I have been an Infinity Engine modder. Have I said that? I don't know. I have been an Infinity Engine modder for, well, over 20 years now. Not actively all that time, but I have definitely been around for that long. I'm currently at present 40 years old, and it's 2026, and I joined the modding community way back in 2004. Yeah, that's 22 years ago. I am old. 22 years ago, guys. If you say it quickly, it doesn't sound that long. 22 years. But on the that was after a summer. I mean, I've already been playing Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 since their release for a number of years, from the late 90s to like 2001 is like the last thing for Baldur's Gate 2, I think. But then a couple of years later, 2004, actually in the summer somewhere, I found out that modding existed. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. That people are actually making additional content for Baldur's Gate, for Baldur's Gate and primarily for Baldur's Gate 2. I really love that. So I got involved. I started playing these mods and enjoying them. Well, some a little bit more than others, but you know, it happens. And basically, yeah, what ended up happening was I felt the spark, the creative spark. So in in November or something, in late in 2004, I started joining and making my own mods, which was pretty cool. um, so yeah, one of my first projects was a roleplay character I had at the time that I used on some roleplaying fantasy role-playing website called The Keep. That Kelder. No, it's not Kelder. I was going to say that the character's name was Alcander Sidian. That got mixed up in my brain and it came out as Kelder. The Kelder. No, it was Alcander Sidian, and I really like him as a character. I mean, I used to. I haven't played as Alcander for so long that details of his life and his experiences there on that fantasy chat was um, is a little blurry. I remember certain things like his girlfriend and his adopted daughters and stuff. I remember one. I actually don't even remember the other's name. I remember the wife's name though. That was Trina, and I remember one of the daughters was called Ghana. What the other daughter was called, I have no idea. I remember the player's name. The player's name was Heather. I remember that. We spoke a little bit outside of the chat. I remember that, but other than that, I really don't remember. But I remember certain things I wanted to put in the mod. Other things I really do not remember, unfortunately. It's been so long ago, and it hasn't been a priority for so long that I kind of just forgot. Usually I'm pretty attached to these role-playing characters or the characters that I create, especially the ones that I've created so long ago. But I guess that was a specific case where I wasn't that attached to it, so you know, it happens, unfortunately. He was like a fighter mage with like I don't know, chaotic good. He was the picture I used for him on the chat was that of sorceress stabber orphan, which I then tried to translate to Baldur's Gate, which I did get a portrait for. I don't have that portrait anymore, but somebody had photoshopped something to make a portrait. Actually, two people did, I think. Two different versions. One with like more sleek hair, like Orphan, and one with more curly hair, like I want to say one of the I want to say one of the hobbits from Lord of the Rings. I was gonna say Sam, but I don't think Sam has that. Unfortunately, I never finished that mod. Why? I'll get to that. Then my second project that I ran alongside was Lockhart. I was very interested in that as well. Lockhart was supposed to be one of the rare romances for female protagonists, so a female romance, and she was going to be a bard. She was going to be a chorister, however you want to pronounce that. I have no idea. I always say chorister. I may be wrong. I don't know, because it's choir. So how do you... I have no idea. English is not my native language. It almost is, but it's not. So I will make these mistakes on occasion. Also, I've never actually heard the word spoken before, so it doesn't help. It was basically a bard that had some clerical magic in their spellbook as well, which I really like the idea of. The idea of a bard that could also have heal. I mean, nowadays in 5th edition, it's like the bread and butter, but back in the day, in 2nd edition or 2.5 edition, whatever this is, it's like, that wasn't the thing. So I did like that, but I asked people how to do that. I got the name appended to her kit. Basically, she was definitely the chorister kit, but unfortunately the spells needed to be added as well manually through coding, and that was too complicated for me at the time, so I couldn't do it, unfortunately. That kind of killed my vibe for Lockhart, unfortunately. Much like Alcander, I don't really remember a whole lot about her backstory on that fantasy chat, and I just kind of ended up forgetting about it. She has a very simple edit of an existing picture somewhere as a portrait. Somebody edited that, basically made like the tunic a different color or something. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. I still have that picture for some reason, but I don't think I'm going to use it. Because I don't think Lockhart is going to happen, unfortunately. This was all between late 2004 and early 2007, by the way. all of these projects. And then I worked on some other projects, either in collaboration with other people or by myself. It was like a collaboration with a guy called Marco. I don't remember what he was called on the what username he had. I just remember his name was Marco. He was from my country, the Netherlands, and we were working on the Harper brothers together, and which was a dwarf and a half elf, I think a fighter cleric and a bard. Pretty cool, but that came to an end when he, I think when he got into a car crash or something, and he actually literally ended up flying through some old lady's windshield, and she was basically he had to go to the hospital, and she was basically suing him for damaging her car, even though she crashed into him. And literally while he was, well, maybe not literally, but pretty much during a time where he had glass shards being fished out of his head by surgeons. So yeah, that's also the last time I've ever he kind of vanished off the internet, probably because he was recovering. I hope he's okay. And there was another guy that I ended up collaborating with. I don't remember his name at all, but I collaborated with him on a couple of things as well. Nothing that really came to any fruition, unfortunately. I also participated in the one-day NPC challenge, where you take 24 hours to make an NPC mod, and I created Wikaede, Wikaede, which was a male human priest of Helm, a cleric, because we were sorely lacking single-class clerics and just available clerics at that time. If you didn't want Viconia, if you didn't want Aerie, and if you didn't want Anomen, all valid, then this guy could help you out. I did spend a bunch of time bug fixing him, because it was also my first real release that I pushed out. But yeah, I did the voicing myself. It was a bit rigid, but I did the voicing myself. It was like, greetings, I am Sir Wikaede, most recently of Nashkel. Might I know your name? A bit stoic and a bit forced. I think I will go for a bit more organic sounding thing now if I were to do it now. But again, it was my first real thing that I pushed out, the first voice job that I did for myself. So yeah, it was a little bit of inexperience. There were some bugs in the mod that I think I got most of them, but there's probably still a couple of things that I'm not happy with or that didn't really happen. So it's fine. I also managed to push out a mod that it was called Selûne Armory, later rebranded to Volcanic Armory. Selûne Armory was actually a little nod to my username at the time, Moongaze. Not to be confused with the Moongaze that is active in the Neverwinter Nights community. I think he's South European or South American or something, and I'm not that guy. We have the same name apparently. We had the same name, but we're not the same people. I would like to just make that clear. And later I switched my name to Aion, A-I-O-N, and that was during my later days, and then my Volcano Productions days. That's later in the story. So what I did is I also, around that same time, I also created, like I said, Selûne Armory, which was basically a collection of items that are just added to random shops across the game. Just items that I wanted to see, some utility, some weapons, some armor, just some stuff that I wanted to see. Casual mage robes that anyone could really wear, that sort of thing. Casual mage robes, a cool crossbow here and there, a helmet of this and that, something, just nice, fun stuff. Also something I'm pretty proud of to have created at the time. I released a mod called Kari the Half Kobold, and she was probably one of the most hated characters in the entire community. And it sounds silly now, but back in the day, man, the community was not as open to these more out there concepts than they would be now, I think. I don't actually know, because I haven't been there in forever, so I don't know how they would react nowadays. But I just know that the general D&D scene as a whole has moved past such petty things and have grown to accept things like being able to play as a goblin, as a minotaur, as a centaur, as a turtle, as a Nadarian, a jellyfish, as a mapak, however you want to call it, a raccoon, playing as a you name it, a bugbear, an orc. You know, what's missing is like a troll or something. You know, you can play as so many different things now that it's not even a tabaxi. You can play as an anthro cat for a goodness sake. But no, a half kobold is horrible because because back then in second edition, kobolds were more like sort of rat canine yipping things with little horns on the heads and stuff. A slight demonic appearance, but they you fight them a lot in these games, and apparently people were like, there was no way that a humanoid, like a human or an elf or a half elf or whatever, there's no way that a humanoid would ever consider having a child, even involuntarily, with a kobold. That will never happen. Why? Because it's, I don't know, zoophilia or something. And it's like, it's literally a different species, a sentient species. They have a culture, they have a language, they have a god. His name is Kurtlemak. I mean, they are a society. They're just a society of a different species. So for some reason, romancing elves and dwarves and halflings and gnomes and whatnot is fine, but they draw the line at a kobold. But nowadays, they will romance anything. They will romance Dragonborn. They will romance. Like I said, they will romance Dragonborn, Tabaxi, they will romance turtles, they will romance ogres and orcs and trolls and demons and vampires and mind flayers and whatnot. They will romance anything that will romance them. And give Yankee, you name it. They will a tiefling like a Karlak. I mean, come on. But yeah, they will romance anything now, but back in the day that was, ooh, you can't do that. Ooh, nobody would ever do that. You're wrong. You're evil. Ooh, how dare you. And I'm just glad we have grown beyond that, at least the D&D community as a whole. But it was really discouraging to have people hate on Kari so incredibly much, especially because I'm not writing her as a fetish or as anything. I'm writing her with an actual heart and soul, which is my writing style and my style of character. I like character development. I like characters with a heart and soul that belong in the world. I like storytelling. I like narration. I like progression. I like in-depth stuff. And yeah, apparently that's not possible. But that's what I do, and people just didn't want to see it like that. I say that there were a couple of individuals that were actually very supportive of me, even though I don't really actively remember that. I was much younger, and it was over 20 years ago, and it's also a little bit of a blur sometimes because it's been so long. So I have more recently looked it up again to see if there was anything going on, and yes, there were a couple of people that were actually really supportive. There was a modding reviewer called Blue, I think, who was not only very positive about my mods, as far as I can recall and as far as I can find. They actively also defended my mod on several occasions, saying like, you didn't actually play the mod, because if you would, you would actually know that this character has a heart and a soul and feels like they belong in the world. And they would also recommend the character to new players, or anyone who was looking for, what mod should I play next. And the other one was definitely the most prolific one, which is the author of the Kaiven and the Heriana mod, which I also played. Fantastic mod. And the author's name is Domi. And she apparently said that she apparently thought that my characters indeed had a lot of heart and soul. And she felt like my characters belong in the world. My characters belong in Baldur's Gate. And my characters belong in the so-called cross-mod banter pack, which would allow mod characters to be able to banter with each other Otherwise, it would be so quiet if you have a party full of mod characters that, unlike the vanilla cast, they don't banter with each other. So the cross mod banter pack was released to remedy that specific modding, well, gap, I should say. And I did write, in collaboration with Domi, I wrote some banters between Wickade and Kari, and Domi's Kaiven. It helps that Kaiven is also one of my favorite characters in Baldur's Gate 1. So yeah, it was very nice, and she approved it, and it got added. But I also noticed something else when I went back to search, and that is there are apparently dialogues between Wickade and Kari, my characters, and another character brought in from Baldur's Gate 1 into Baldur's Gate 2, Xan or Zan, Xan, I don't know, Xan, the depressed elven sorcerer, enchanter, sorry, and he was like, oh, what is the point? Whatever, and I mean, I do like him as a character. He's a bit silly in how bleak he is. Apparently, that character was made by a modder known as Kuljok, and Kuljok is, how do I put this nicely? I didn't like Kuljok for a specific reason, and the reason is that she was very cold, dismissive, harsh. Definitely not the warmest person I've ever met, unfortunately. And it's not like she went out of the way to be malicious, but she also didn't go out of the way to be kind and polite either. It was she could be very cold-hearted and very harsh and very like I don't care how anyone feels, which is kind of goes against my nature as a person. So that kind of rubs me the wrong way. So I tried to just stay away from her as much as I could, which was usually easy. Usually I didn't have loads to say, and she can just be bitter, I guess, whatever. But the fact is that there was dialogue between Wickade and Kari and Zan, and I was like, I don't remember ever approaching Kuljok about this, because she would only care about her character, not about mine or anyone else's, really. So if anyone would write those banters, it would probably be her. It wouldn't be me or anyone else, because she's a bit protective and a bit controlling of her own character. Which, okay, fine, okay, fair enough. But I would never approach Kuljok for that, and I don't think she would have approached me either. But still, there's dialogue. So I opened up the file and I read the dialogue. That was not my writing style. I know my writing style even back then. I know my writing style. That wasn't it. So it seems that someone shadow authored for my characters to write these dialogues, and I don't think it was Kuljok. I don't want to think it was the author of Xan himself. I don't think so. She would not take the time to do that. I doubt it. So what I assume, I don't know for sure, but what I assume might have been Domi. It might have been Domi. It probably was. I can't think of any other person who would care enough to do so, given that I didn't write it. So yeah, if she did, then, and you're seeing this, Domi, thank you for your support, thank you for your kindness, and same thing to you, Blue, and to anyone else I've had positive interactions with. Of course, I can't remember all of your names, but you definitely exist. That is always a nice contrast between that and a lot of the other prolific modders and admins and staff members that were frequently less than pleasant people, to put it nicely. What else did I release at that point? So that was Kari, Wickade, Volcanic Armory. I took it onto myself to manage the Crusader Pack mod, because it had a selection of like free kits, and it was one kit that I was particularly interested in that actually functioned properly. It was a rogue kit. You could be an adventurer or something. It was just a nice kit to have, so I was usually very excited to have that. There was some other kits in there that didn't function, that had bugs in them. I didn't know how to fix them, so I didn't really do anything with it. So I may not have been the best person to manage the mod, but nobody really wanted to. It was abandoned. Nobody really wanted to. So yeah, I decided to do so, and I made some kind of compatibility thing for MTS, Major Tom Sawyer's crap pack. I don't remember what I did or how I did it, but apparently I figured out how to do it and I did it and it worked. Maybe I don't know. That was something I did as well, also around that in that time period. What I also did was I provided my voice for the Serialev romance mod as Kesavar, the fallen Deva. Apparently Solara and Nephrin heard that I from hearsay that I had a good voice, apparently, since I voiced Week 8, and I don't even know if I've done some other things, but they were like, yeah, and they were like, people tell us that you have a good voice. Do you want to voice a character from a Serialev mod? It's like, yes, sure. That was like one of my first times, the first time that I've ever actually lent my voice to the project of another person. Haven't had much chance to do so since, but it was a very fun thing to experience and to do, and I'm still in there to this day, I think so. And I really do enjoy the Serialev Romance mod as well. I understand why it gets flack, but still, it's a well-written mod. It's very expansive. It has new areas and everything, so that's pretty impressive. Yeah. And I think later, though, I did release one more thing. Oh yeah, of course I released the alternate Goo portrait. It was really stupid. It was like one rando weirdo modder basically released an NPC mod called Goo. Used like a tiny Goth beholder avatar. It was like a tiny green beholder. Or like medium or like normal character size tiny beholder. But used a really weird portrait that didn't even fit. I don't think the author cared. I don't even know why the mod exists. But it bugged me that they had a dumb portrait that didn't fit. So what I did is basically I took a portrait from of a beholder from Neverwinter Nights, and I gave it to this character basically. Well, I didn't give it to the character. I allowed people to download it, so they could basically replace the portrait in that mod with this portrait. I don't know if anyone cared, but it bothered me, so I did it. Whatever. I've never heard anyone talk about it, so I don't think anyone cared. It was just more of a personal pet peeve that I had. And I released one more character after that, which I think was more around 2010 actually, which was Kundred. Kundred was by modern standards, he is supposed to be a like I said, one of those raccoon people. Mapach, 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 I don't even know how to friggin' say it. It doesn't matter. Raccoon person. Also with like just like Kari was hiding her features. Kundra was also hiding the features with what's it called? With a hooded cloak. And unfortunately, I kind of wrote it from the standpoint of, you know, standard femboy furry who is interested in the male protagonist but doesn't have a full romance, that sort of thing. Of course, I would. Character had heart and soul, of course, but at the same time, I would handle that much differently nowadays. And I put him up for download, and released some bug fixes and stuff, and voiced him myself as well, upped the pitch a little bit on my voice to make him sound a little younger, a little more femmy, and that's about it. That's actually no, I'm lying, guys. Ooh, I'm lying. I'm being dishonest. Ooh, that goes against my entire channel. Ooh, no, I just forgot. I actually found an old abandoned NPC mod of Xan, and I was like, I messaged the guy like, hey, could I do this? Could I continue this? And they were like, oh, I didn't think anyone would care. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Like, okay, thank you. And then Koyoko released her version, and was like, okay, I can never compete with that. I mean, I could, of course, make my own version, but with Koyoko's version, I mean, I may not really be very fond of her behavior as a person, but as a modder, she does pretty good work. So I'm like, yeah, with that version, I don't necessarily feel any immediate need to release my own. So you know. Um, I didn't do anything with that, and another guy had an evil fallen ranger known as Therin, and I asked him, and he was very defensive about his character. It's like, yeah, you can do it if you want, but it's gonna be your version, not my version, because my version is the original. And hey, I'm like, if it makes you so uncomfortable, then don't say yes. If you had said no, then I wouldn't have done it. But you know, he did say yes, so I did take it. But you know, the mod wasn't really much. It was just a spawn script basically, and a join dialogue. That was basically it. So I had basically creative freedom. I got no notes from him about what he was planning with it, and he had already abandoned the mod like long time ago. So I don't know. It's I didn't do much with it. I released an alpha with a banter and a couple of extra things to make it a real like bare bones NPC mod, but I didn't do much with it after that. And I playtested the Beyond the Law mod. I'm not really a good match with its offers, Zyrian, but I did playtest, so I mean I'm still credited apparently, so whatever. And I was at the inception of the IEP, the NPC Interaction Expansion Pack, but again, me and one of the other co-founders, we don't really see eye to eye, so I was merely listed as a writer or something, or as a very like early or maybe as a nothing. I'm not sure. Maybe I've been removed from the credits. I'm not entirely sure, but they would never give me the title of co-founder. Of course not. It doesn't matter. I am still one of the co-founders, so you know. So that's basically all that I've done as a modder in this scene, and that brings me to the reason why I left the first time. Yeah, I left twice. This was at the end of 2006, early 2007, somewhere in March. I was driven out by incessant, continuous, constant harassment, bullying, just people being weird, people being rude, people being verbally abusive, etc. And I was just so tired of it and so draining. Of course, I was younger and I couldn't handle it as well as I normally did, but I was so tired of it. I was so exhausted and so hurt, and it's like I'm so done with this. Especially one person, I don't want to name any names, but for him I think it's an exception because he's such a his name was Undertaker, and he made it his personal mission to harass me at every single turn, at every single post that I did. I don't know why he hated me so much, and I'm not giving him the credit for driving me away. It took a lot more than just him, but a lot of the people in charge of these websites, and a lot of prolific elite modders are just very unpleasant people, and sometimes sociopathic traits are a show, and just other abusive behaviors. And at that point, I reached a breaking point. I had enough, so I left. And later, I came back about after a year or so, in the beginning of 2008. And instead of being hosted at Chosen of Mystra or at RPG Dungeon like previously, I was hosted at that point at what was it called? Blackworm Lair. I've been hosted there for a year, working on my stuff. I didn't really get to release anything really, because the ongoing, the ongoing harassment did continue in a lesser fashion, but it did kind of continue regardless. Eventually, Baronius started to become also an unpleasant person, so I decided to bail again, and I decided to just go to my own sanctum, go to my own like little blog page with an Envision Free forum. Now Envision Free doesn't exist anymore. I found a different one for free because I'm not a website builder. I'm not a coder. I don't know how to do all of that nonsense. So a free ready to go forum was nice, but I don't think I ever opened it. This was much later, but I don't think I ever opened it. I made one, but I don't think I ever did. I ever opened it because I don't know. I just didn't want to, I guess. But as I was going on my own, I had my modding studio, my production studio called Volcano Productions, which I now, after so many years, after like 15 years basically, I changed it to Sanctum of Selûne, which is where we are now. I worked on a project back then that I'm actually continuing and improving now in 2026. Yeah, and I also have some other things in mind. For example, I should also mention that I at one point, because I gave up on Kari because of all the hatred that I was getting for that, even presenting the idea, another modder by the name of Tamian a Dragoon, he really liked the character. He wanted to see her complete, so it's like, can I do it? Can I have her, and can I then make the mod myself? I'm like, yes, of course. I'm glad you like it so much. Yes, I would love to see it. And that meant that my problems were over in that regard. He would have to deal with all of the negativity. He actually got someone to make him a portrait for her, which I can't find anymore, which sucks. It was a portrait of a youngish, no, I mean not youngish, like a woman of like, you know, early 20s maybe, with a half kobold, like half canine-ish or whatever snout almost as a face, and I don't remember anything about the hair or the clothing, but I remember that she had her back to the viewer and kind of looking over her shoulder a bit. So if you come across an image like that, the face should be a dead giveaway. If you come across an image like that anywhere related to Baldur's Gate or the Infinity Engine modding community, please let me know and please send it to me. You can reach me through the community tab on my YouTube, or join the Discord, join the TGC Discord by giving a donation to my Ko-Fi, and you can reach me on there as well. I'm not getting my hopes up, but hey, if any of you have that portrait or can find it, I would love to have it and add it to my modding history. Even though technically I didn't commission it, I didn't ask anyone to make it. It's still kind of mine because it's still my character. Why? Because Tamian, at one point he said the mod is almost done, but I lost everything in a hard drive crash, and I don't want to redo it, so it's over. Which is, of course, a big shame. It can happen. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if he lied about it, if he never actually worked on it at all. I have no idea. But if it is true, that is so painful. I mean, we've all been there at least once, right? So that sucks. So that does mean that kind of Kari is back in my hands again. And I did release a newer version of Kari, which was more in line with the original vision that I had for her, basically an Anthro wolf. But I'm now stepping away from that particular idea. That is definitely something noteworthy. You know, it was another thing that, oh boy. So you got this character in Baldur's Gate 1 called Alora, right? So she's a joinable halfling thief, and she's one of my favorite characters because she's so happy and positive, and just a sparkle of sunshine in the party. I really like her as a character. So, a modder released Alora for Baldur's Gate 2. That would almost seem like a no-brainer for me to just install and enjoy, right? Well, I did, and I found it was not enjoyable. Why not? Because that author wrote the vanilla cast of Baldur's Gate 2 so out of character that it was so jarring that I couldn't keep playing. And that's a shame, because I really wanted that character in my party, but I could not live with that sort of writing, that sort of dialogue. Take, for example, Sir Sir Keldorn Firecam, an older veteran paladin that you can recruit in your party, whose wife is not very pleased with him. But he's a calm sort, right? He's old and wise enough to know how to act. So yes, I'm Lord Keldorn Firecam, and I see what you are doing, and I don't approve. But you should take this as a lesson to learn what you shouldn't do. Something like that. I don't know. I'm just pulling dialogue out of my butt. But so Alora was like saying to him what the mother wrote. They were like, "Oh, Keldorn, you're so boring. Why are you so stuffy all the time?" And they made Keldorn react like this: "I am not stuffy, young miss." What? Keldorn would never react like that, especially not to such a dumb comment. It's like such a, like, "Oh, I don't like you because you're boring, you're stuffy." Keldorn would be more like something like along the lines of, "I can see where you're coming from, but we are who we are, and I don't see a necessity for change. You are lovely the way you are as well." It's like, I want to give you a compliment. I am aware of that. Nevertheless, I do enjoy your company, even if the feeling is not mutual. Something like that, that would be much better than just this, and then just that overblown angry reaction. Like, what is wrong with you? I'm sorry, but that is like, we've both played this game for like so long, right? Me and this other person, we both played this game for so long. We both have had Keldorn in our party a bajillion times. Even if not, you can see the dialogue that BioWare wrote for him in the dialogue files. If you're going to write for Keldorn or for any other character, make them in character, please. Because I've had a lot of mod NPCs do that properly, and I appreciate that. It can definitely vary from mod to mod, but I'm glad that overall the consistency is pretty good. Beyond the Law being one of the that I play tested for is being one of the exceptions, as did the author of that mod writes very long and elaborate and complicated uses complicated wording and everything to get their point across, and that was just so jarring to read. It's technically impressive, but it lacked heart and soul. And that's again, like, I like heart and soul, not someone reading from a technical manual, basically. Two characters that treat their romance together as a business agreement. It's like it's like, here, sign on the dotted line. Yes. Now shake my hand. Yes, we are now husband and wife. Yes. Not even an "I love you," just yes, affirmation. Like, maybe that's something for some characters, but I didn't find it appealing whatsoever. And that's one thing that they write that for their own characters, but they wrote the BioWare NPCs, the vanilla cast, the same way, which is like, it screams, "I am a mod and I use complicated languages in like multi-paragraphs to get my point across. Absolutely not the same as the base game." Which was just so jarring. I could not keep up with that. And the same thing with Alora. They were so out of character. At one point, Alora, Keldorn, and another sort of serious party member, Anomen, started to have a pie throwing. They started to throw pies at each other in banter. It's like, oh, come on. Anomen would be furious if he got hit in the face with a pie all of a sudden, and Keldorn would not even engage, would kind of get a pie in his face and just kind of like, "All right, can we stop doing this, please? It's unnecessary and a waste of good pies." But they in that mod, they just engaged with it, happily giggling. I'm sorry, but that was just so jarring for me to sit through, that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take matters in my own hands. Ooh, I know, bad Blancmark. But So what I did was actually probably the worst thing I could have done at that point is I took all the dialogue from the Allura mod, and I basically took the dialogue files and I rewrote them, keeping the original intent intact, but I rewrote them to actually be in character. And then I released it. If you would just copy and paste, if you would just unpack that into the Allura folder, then you will have my version of it, the in-character version of it. Yeah, you already can see where I'm going with this. They were not happy with me at all. They hated me for it. They were so upset with me that I dared touch anyone's creative work and remodeled it to suit my own needs. If I kept it private, sure, nobody can say anything about it, but the fact that I released it for other people, ooh, they hated me for it. And I get it. It was a dumb move of me more than 20 years ago. It was a dumb move on my part. I should not have done that. I wouldn't appreciate if people did that to my mod either, so yeah. And it was like, the argument is like, why don't you just make your own Allura mod? And it's like, yes, I could, and I did consider it, but at the same time, there was already a functioning Allura mod out there by someone who has more experience with modding and coding than I do. So basically the path of least resistance was to fix their mod, rather than making my own, like spending years to make my own. But that was a bad decision on my part. It was a bad move on my part, and it's also not in alignment with my own integrity at this moment. So yeah, it was a lesson that I learned from, because nowadays I care more about character development and more about the heart and soul of my projects than fixing a product or that is already out, or fixing somebody else's product, I should say, or efficiency or shortcuts. That's because I have this idea for a mod that is a project that I will probably be working on at some point, even if someone else already does it, but I doubt they will. That mod is Airy Relationship. It takes our lovable winged elf without wings from Baldur's Gate 2, the vanilla cast, and it gives her a friendship track for both male and female protagonists, and it will give her a female romance for the female protagonist. And what I was told to basically copy over the male romance track, or basically better yet, change Airy from romancing only male protagonists, to romancing any protagonist and then call it a day. It's like, that's not what I want. That's not why I'm making this mod. That would be efficient and that would be a shortcut, but that's not what I want. I wanted to write my own version of the Airy romance from her perspective, as she is discovering feelings for a female protagonist, something that is even more new to Airy than a romance with a male protagonist would be. The dynamic would be completely different. She would be more confused about it. She would be struggling more with it. And I would probably tweak some things about the Airy/Hair Delise romance as well, because that whole thing just doesn't sit right with me at all, and also wasn't functioning properly the last time I played. So I will probably change something about that as well. But see, that's the thing. I chose my own work, my own integrity, the actual heart and soul of the mod. Like, if their efficiency is nice, but that's all. If that's all it is about. If I have to be efficient and push the mod out at the cost of having a quality not even product, at the cost of the heart and soul of the mod, then why do it at all? It's like you have instrumentalists, technically impressive, and you have musicians. Musicians feel the heart and soul of the music. Instrumentalists just play it. And they play it exceptionally well, but I find personally that it has no heart and no soul. I'm going to give an example. I'm sorry to any fans out there, but take a instrumentalist or a a guitarist like Yngwie Malmsteen. I find Yngwie Malmsteen to his music to have no soul, especially not, for example, when he has a live CD out and the longest track with over 10 minutes on the live CD is guitar solo. Technically, very impressive, but compared to a lot of other music I've heard, no soul, no heart. And that's what I mean. You know, he's efficient. Well, maybe not as efficient if the longest song is the guitar solo, but you know what I mean. He's technically sound, but it doesn't have the heart and the soul that I personally want. Maybe for other people it has heart and soul, but for me it doesn't. And that's what I'm going for with my creative works. Is I like it to have heart and soul, and I like it to fit in with the world, and I like it to make sense. I approach it from a creative outlet perspective, not a product. I'm not pushing out a product. I have a creative outlet that I like to work on, and if it ever gets out there, if it ever gets released, cool. But I'm under no obligation. I'm under no deadline. I'm under no schedule. It's like my YouTube videos. I upload. I record things when I want, how I want, and I'll upload it when I want, how I want. And that's it. That's how I run my whole channel. I'm not pushing out content. I'm not hastily recording videos to feed my viewers. I am sharing my passion with you guys. That's what I do on this channel. Whether it's Sanctum of Selûne, or whether it's playing Dragon Age or Mass Effect or Dead by Daylight or Phasmophobia or whatever else whatever I end up talking about. It is all because I want to share that with you guys, not because I'm pushing out a product or pushing out content. And I feel like a lot of the modders just want to see new content out. They see it as a product to be consumed, and that's not, even if that's exactly what you're doing, that's not my intent with what I bring. And so yeah, I used the mod for the original Baldur's Gate 2. But now that the enhanced editions are out, it actually is a lot better in terms of running on more modern PCs with a bigger resolution and everything. You're not like playing in a tiny screen surrounded by, large black borders. They all just function a little bit better. Some extra content, some bug fixes, so that's pretty nice. And after buying this is a fairly recent purchase. So after buying this, my interest got in modding and in Baldur's Gate got like rekindled, and that's when I picked up my old project that I started working on in 2010, and I picked that back up some 16 years later, and that's where we are now. So yeah, and that's also when I found out the stances of people like Domi and Blue, and apparently my name has not been mentioned in the modding community for a very long time, except for one instance in 2019, which is 7 years ago or something, and it was actually one prolific modder and who was also one of the admins on a site. Basically, there was some drama going on with some other person that had multiple accounts trying to hype up their own product, I believe, and that admin basically sat back and basically posted like, "Oh, I love when people are arguing and when there's drama and when people get hurt, and yeah, that's great. I love that." I would have thought they would be so sarcastic, but then they basically said, "We can always ask Moongaze to come back. Hey, he's always good for a bunch of drama." And that's when I realized she is not kidding. She's not being sarcastic. She really loves the drama and people getting hurt and all that. And it's like, that's an admin of that site, and she kept that whole thing going. She encouraged the bad behavior, the harassment, the mockery, the hurt. She encouraged that as an admin. Like, to me, that's baffling. Why would you do that? Why would you not only not stop it and not do anything about it, but actively encourage it? They're like, yeah, people go hurt each other. Yeah. And then also, I had left the modding community for like 8 to 9 years at that time, right? I wasn't there. I was just working on my own things on my own site, right? And on my own blog, on my own forum, whatever, in like 2010, 2011. This was like 2019, and she brings up my name. That was the only instance that all of a sudden my name got brought up in the last like 10 years. And it's like, why do you do that? Why do you suddenly bring up my name? One, I'm surprised you remember, and two, it's like, yeah, oh, my name is synonymous with drama. Well, maybe, but it's been so long ago. I've already moved on, like so long ago. It's not really a factor anymore. I just don't go there, and it's like whatever. I don't care. But the fact that she just brings me up is the fact that yeah, she's still craving for someone to entertain her. I guess I don't know. I'm like, just move on with it. Just move on with your life. For just forget about it. Grow up. Find some better use for your time than watching people get hurt and calling out for people who who were too funny because they were drama queens or whatever. The reason why I'm seen as a source of drama is because I actually have integrity. I actually have morals and values. And I stand up for myself and for other people, and I'm very vocal about when things are wrong or when people are doing wrong things or when, and I feel like even if I don't intend to do any harm, uh, there is so something that a lot of people hate is being told that they're wrong or being told that they're doing something wrong. It's easy to just point a finger and get angry and be all like, well, it's your fault for pointing it out. It's like, yeah, but you're doing the behavior. That doesn't matter. You're pointing it out. You're the asshole. It's like, okay, well, whatever. So that's usually why not just in the modding community, but that's usually how I end up in trouble. Maybe not in trouble, but like why people get mad at me, because especially nowadays in a world where tolerance is very low and where everyone is just kind of scared to get close to anyone, and everyone just kind of treats everyone else as consumables. Basically, it's yeah, integrity is scary to people because that makes them feel like they have to justify it or own their own mistakes, which is like, oh, you can't own your own mistakes. I'm flawless because that makes me feel better. Whatever. I don't know, but that's why I was such an easy target, because I was the only one who was standing up against all these bullies and verbal abusers and rude people and sociopaths and whatnot, and yeah, that made me an easy target. I mean, I've gotten more nuanced in my older days, but I still have that same spark. I'm just not as vocal about it anymore, to be honest. Kind of mellowed out a bit, but that's kind of how I operate. So that's why. But it's been 10 years. Come on, it's been 9 to 10 years. Just stop it. But yeah, that's basically my modding history. From Moongaze to Ion to now just Blancmark, and from Pagan Productions to Volcano Productions to Sanctum of Selûne. The status of my old mods, the old the Kari, Weekade, Kundred, Volcanic Armory, Crusader Pack, Alternate Goo Portrait, all of that is not available. Some I might incorporate into something else, maybe. Others I probably will just not really do anything with. Plus, all of these mods were made for Baldur's Gate 2, the original, with Throne of Bhaal installed, and not for the enhanced edition. I probably have to change a few things for the enhanced edition for it to function. And I've never modded for the enhanced edition before. At least I've never tried to code for the enhanced edition before. It's probably not all that different, but still, I have no experience with it yet. So it would take a lot more work to make that all compatible. And at the moment, I don't feel like that's a high priority. I'm mostly just working on a project. Yes, I am. But it's a creative outlet for me, which I don't have a whole lot of. And I'm just enjoying the creative process. And if it ever gets to a point where I can release it, then cool, then I will. But I am under no obligation um, to do so. I'm under no time constraints or anything. I just work on it when I want to, when I can, when I want to, when I feel like it's similar to my videos. But yes, I will confirm. Yes, there is a project that I have in the works right now. What is it? I'm not telling you. Can I see it? No. And that's all I'm going to say about it. What I am going to say is that I am planning on playing Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, the enhanced editions, including Siege of Dragonspear, right here, which I've never played before, so I am very interested in that. I am planning on playing that for the channel at some point. I don't know when, but yeah, that's something to look forward to. And yeah, that is the end of this video, because I think I covered most of the things in my modding history anyway. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video, whatever that may be. So I should go back to my Sanctum and just continue my creative works. Ugh, struggled to get that word out. See ya.